This educational video is intended to help children build their vocabulary for the purpose of their general knowledge, as well as to improve their scores on state and other standardized exams. Please pause the video to read the purpose, scope, and warnings related to this video. This video has a free student engagement worksheet that can also be used as a quiz. It's available in many formats. Please see the link in the description to download this. In this video, we'll learn the definition of these words. We'll do that by focusing on the meaning of the word parts, which make up each word. The root capit means head. The word capital has 4 common meanings. It can mean the headquarters of government, as in the capital city. It can mean wealth, like investment capital. It can mean capital letters, which we might use to write an important message. And it can mean an important thought, as in a capital idea. We'll look at the first 2 meanings in more detail. When we use the root capit in terms of a government, it means where the government's headquarters are. This is where the head of government lives and works, such as a governor in the case of a state government. These buildings are called state capitol buildings. A capitol building is where the state legislature writes laws for that state. The place where these buildings are located is the state's capital city. This is the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. This is where federal legislators write laws for the entire country. Please note the spelling differences. For a state, the Capitol building's name ends in AL. But for our nation, the Capitol building's name ends in OL. The capital city, whether for a state or the nation, ends in AL. The second use of capital we'll look at is to mean wealth. Many years ago, when most people farmed, the amount of wealth they had was measured by how many cows they owned. When farmers count their cows, they call this a head count. This would explain why the word capit, which means head, started to take on a meaning of wealth. Nowadays, people use the word capital to refer to their wealth. In particular, capital is wealth that people use to make money, such as in their business. For example, this man bought this taxicab and uses it as a business to make money. In this case, the taxicab is capital, since it's part of his wealth that he uses to make money. The term capitalism also contains the word capit. Capitalism refers to an economy in which the citizens own capital wealth. For example, the U.S. is a capitalist economy since people can own capital, such as a building they use to run their business. This is in contrast to other economies, such as communism, in which the government might own almost all businesses. In communism, people may have very little capital wealth. The word captain uses a variation in the spelling capit, but it still means head. A captain is a person who is the head of something, which means she or he is in charge. It could be the name of a person who flies a plane, commands a ship, is a high-ranking officer in the military, or is in law enforcement. We use the word captain because that person is the head of the organization, a group of people, or a vehicle. The term per capita is made of 2 word parts. The first is per, which means for each. Together, these word parts mean for each head. We can think of this as meaning the same thing as for each person. We often use the phrase per capita when reporting statistics. For example, here's a map showing the average annual income per person for each country in the world. Although the authors could have said, "This is the amount of money per person," there's a tradition to use the phrase per capita. But the 2 phrases mean the same thing. Here's another map that shows the number of gallons of water per capita in a typical day. This is telling us how many gallons of water the average person uses per day in that particular part of the country. Thanks for your attention.